Today on Let's Talk About It, we will discuss alcohol and drugs, and then later we will have Brenden Goldizen join us from Parlor Donuts. Friends, we need to stop letting those negative thoughts live rent-free in our mind. Too often we let worry, fear, doubt, lies, and more just sit and grow. We allow it to take over and consume every thought, and then it dictates how we go about our day. In fact, a lot of our negative thoughts start out relatively small, but because we meditate on them, they begin to consume all of our thoughts. Thoughts can be hard to manage. The truth is, the mind is a battlefield, like Joyce Meyer talks about in her book, Battlefield of the Mind. Do we understand, though, what God sees when he looks at us? That we are his children, that he loves deeply, and he desires for us to live where our mind is in tune with the Holy Spirit, seeing things from his perspective instead of focusing on all the negative. Once we make a decision to not let the negative live there in our mind any longer, well, then we must replace it with something else. We must replace it with Scripture, God's promises, and then allow our mind to be captivated by him, transformed by him. What does your mind focus in on? And where do you let it go? It's an important question to ask yourself, to be intentional with bringing the mind back into focus. I know for myself, I can have thoughts that do not line up with his word, or thoughts that cause doubts, and well, I have to work on replacing those thoughts. God tells us to bring every thought captive. 2 Corinthians 10:5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. And the thing is, it's something that needs to be worked on daily and maybe even multiple times a day. Are my thoughts bringing me joy? Bringing me peace, drawing me closer to him? And if not, how do I change it? It's time to stop letting the junk live rent-free where it does not belong. Speak against it. Use the authority that Christ gave us and make sure that your mind is set on things above. And as you do set your mind on the things above, the things that you are going through don't seem so big or so defeating any longer. In fact, I believe we can walk with our heads held high, knowing joy is coming. Breakthrough is just ahead because I serve a powerful, life-giving, good Father. And we are just three ladies with big opinions, always backed by a biblical standpoint. So let's talk about it.
This segment is brought to you by Harry's Construction, whose motto is, "If you can dream it, we can create it." They are the kitchen and bath design experts, so call Harry's Construction for all your remodeling needs.
Welcome back, and today is a question that I had to actually look into a little bit for myself, just where I really do stand with it, and we're going to talk about alcohol and drugs. We've talked about some different addictions because there's a slew of them, but today we're going to hone in on our thoughts with alcohol and drugs, ladies.
I feel like today this is a very sad one for me, actually, because I'm actually dealing with a family member who, this is literally, it's an alcohol addiction, and it is down to the wire. It is a life and death situation, and we thought we had it under control. And I was actually on the phone with him this morning, and clearly at like 9 o'clock this morning, I could tell.
Oh,
and it's not going to end well because we're at that stage. And you just ask yourself, how do things get this way? How do they get this way?
Nobody ever starts out thinking, I'm going to ruin my life, I'm going to lose my family, potentially my house, I'm going to lose my job, and I'm going to keep doing this.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
That's why it's called addiction.
And the people around him, are getting harder and harder about the situation.
Yes.
And I feel
because
like
trust has been broken so many times.
yeah, and I think that they do it too because they're trying to protect their heart for
Yes.
the inevitable,
Yes.
and that just gives me goosebumps. It makes me very, very sad. It's a very harsh reality that John and I are living with right now, and I don't judge, I really don't.
Because we can't know.
No, it's not going to fix it. My judgment is not going to
No.
fix anything. And again, like I've never really been like caught up in that kind of thing. So it would be easy for me to, but I can't. No, that's
But there are addictions that we face that we just don't put on the same level.
Right. over.
Right,
Yes,
right.
They
that
may
is
not be
true.
life or death even,
That's
but,
right.
but still.
But they
that's the
still take a
thing
hold of us.
Yes, they do.
that like kills me is that this one is life or death.
Right.
and they can't choose life. That's how bad this is. They cannot choose life.
Yeah.
And
It is hard
it's
to understand.
It is. I cannot understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom and dad both had alcoholic parents. And for them, just because that's what they grew up with, there would never be a touch of alcohol to their lips for them because it would be an opening they feel like that their parents allowed.
I totally get that.
And so they've cut it off completely. It's just not even going to ever be for them. And, you know, because I didn't grow up in that, my parents weren't alcoholics, then I struggle a little bit to understand, well, why couldn't you just have a glass? I mean, it's not gonna. But there's something that they saw and that they were part of that to them, that, no, there's no way.
Right. And one glass of wine might be okay for me or you, but not everybody. And,
Right.
I had when I was young, a friend of our family, they had kids my age. He was an alcoholic, and he went to AA, and I mean, never touched a drop of alcohol, to the point where his wife, when she would bake, she would use vanilla that wasn't made with alcohol, because we don't think about the things that might trigger somebody.
Right.
Yes. But she didn't even do that. She was that purposeful and careful. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do want to say the Bible actually does not prohibit drinking. It prohibits drunkenness in Scripture if you read. And it's, so I think as Christians, we've kind of put a bad name to it, like, you do not drink, that's not allowed. And if you are to study Scripture, it actually does not say you can't have a drink. It's what happens when you drink too much.
In excess, yeah.
And what it does to your body and mind.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and I think that's just all common sense. Like nowhere in the Bible does it say anything about drugs and gateway drugs and smoking pot and cigarettes, but common sense says one thing. And
well, but like you said, as Christians, we have, oh, that's bad, bad, bad. But the things that we do in excess that are bad for us, I cannot point a finger at somebody.
Right, because how often do we point a finger at someone who overeats?
That's right.
And makes wrong.
That's right.
Because I want my donuts and I
Right.
want my, you know,
Yeah.
but don't
Yeah.
point a finger at me about that stuff.
Right. Right.
or gambling
Yeah.
Right.
or shopping.
Right.
Or,
There are so many things done in excess that can damage
Right.
a human being, a family, all of your, it's a ripple effect.
Yes.
It's a ripple effect.
I mean, let's face it, working out can be an addiction.
I was actually
Absolutely.
thinking
Something that
too.
starts
Yes.
out good
Yeah.
can become an addiction. You know, I believe with this and with anything, we need to err on the side of caution and be wise about it. I always look at things, you know, sometimes as Christians, we often black or white, you know, okay, so, but if it's in the middle, then it does have, and it's gray, and that means that there's a little black to it. So why? And where do I need to be cautious in this? Do I want to open the door to allow this into my life? Where will it lead me? Where will it take me? You know, for alcohol, for me, I've had, a glass here or there at times, and I just actually don't like the taste. So that's why I choose not to, because why would I drink something that
you don't like?
that I don't like the taste of? So that's...
I have a family member who says, I know me. Like, I know that deep down, I probably have an addictive personality. Like, I know that about myself.
Right.
So they just stay clear because they know, I just know deep down that I have an addictive personality. I tend to do things in cycles, and that probably is not good for me. You
have to know yourself.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about alcohol, but drugs, you said gateway drugs. If one of us had a debilitating disease and we're in pain all the time, we would take whatever the doctor gave us.
Right.
I used to be so judgmental toward people who did medical marijuana. And I really hesitate about that. But there are prescription pain medicines that are more addictive and less effective than medical marijuana. And I'm not even talking about smoking it. I'm talking about however you ingest it. I would rather do medical marijuana if it's more effective than something else that is more addictive and less effective. So I think we really need to be super careful.
Yeah, I know for me, there have been a few times I've had to go to the ER for something, and then they'll give, like I had a kidney stone, so they'll give me something for that pain.
Yes.
I will be very careful as to, okay, I'll do it that time, but then I'm not going to just, every time you say, hey, here, take it again.
Right, every 4 hours.
No, I'm going to monitor myself and kind of make a decision for myself. Is it needed, or could I go without it?
Yeah, because we hear of young people who get hurt in sports and their lives are ruined.
And they become addicted because of something that was prescribed.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you have to be so very careful. And the other thing that I wrote down here is, Satan wants to use anything and everything for his glory.
That's right.
Look at sex for just a quick second. That is something that God created to be a beautiful thing that Satan has turned around to can look horrible in different instances. And that's what he's going to do with anything that we talk about, the drugs, the alcohol. How can he turn it to further his kingdom? And so that's what we have to look at.
He wants to ruin as many people as he can.
Right.
And he will use whatever means available to him to do it.
Right. And so we have to be very careful. And then always just remember, our bodies and our minds are a gift from God. And so how are these things affecting our body? How are these things affecting our mind? We have to really look into that. Is it changing how we act after we have it, or how we treat people? So all those things matter, and take a look at that. And then the last thing that is, there are people around us that do have maybe an addiction to that. So that we need to sometimes be careful that we're not opening a door. They have to make their own choices.
Right. But we have to be careful.
Just to be careful. And so I'll just end with this verse. It says, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be enslaved by anything. 1 Corinthians 6:12. So, even though God doesn't say drinking in itself is wrong, we have to be careful what we're letting in and how it may control us or become an addiction. So always be careful and be mindful and be wise in your decisions. And when we come back, we will have our guest for the day.
For generations, Dick's Home Care has been providing the best equipment and service for patient care at home. Breathe easier with oxygen from Dick's Home Care. Oxygen concentrators give you a continuous oxygen supply at home. Oxygen cylinders supply oxygen without power. And portable oxygen frees you to go. Dick's Home Care technicians will set your oxygen up and make sure you know how to use it. Call the leader in home medical equipment, Dick's Home Care.
Next time on Man Up, we're going to have my friend Matt Winquist. He's going to be talking with us about how to reach the youth of this generation.
God had his hand on me from the beginning. I was born 3 months premature. I know it's hard to see now, but I weighed 1 pound at birth. My father said he could hold me in his palm of his hand. My mother even called in the Catholic priest to baptize me, give him my last rites. But, God had different plans.
That's right.
So,
all that and more next time on Man Up.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. And this may be one of my favorite guests just because of what he's going to talk about, because it's a love language of mine, ladies. But before we get into the owner of and what your business is, just tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Brenden Goldizen. I am from a small town, Everett, Pennsylvania, not too far from Altoona, where we are currently located. Have 2 beautiful kids, a beautiful wife, pretty small family, but growing family. Joined the military right after high school, was a Navy medic, corpsman is what we call ourselves. Still am actively in the reserves as a lieutenant, as a registered nurse. I did a lot of clinical as a nurse, did some operations management as a nurse, which is kind of what segued me into what I'm doing now, which is making donuts.
Oh, I totally see the correlation there.
Oh, me too.
That's right.
You know. So what made you want to open a donut business here in Altoona?
I mean, really?
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, yeah. So obviously, you know, if you talk to me long enough, I'm not a donut guy at all. My wife, not a donut gal at all. But so we visited one right below Pawleys Island, or I'm sorry, right below Myrtle Beach, which is in Pawleys Island. You know, as you are approaching their storefront, it's a single standalone building. There's a beautiful bronze eagle above the doorway, the archway. You walk in, to your right, there's some very, very beautiful cowhide leather chairs, a very, very authentic, rustic American flag. And so, I mean, the moment that I walked into this location, I was immediately captivated, right? You know, an individual that loves his country, served his country. I mean, it just resonated with me. And my wife, too. My wife was like, wow, this space is just absolutely beautiful. Little did we know we were going to try the donuts, we were going to try the coffee, and I mean, just seal the deal. To take a step back, so I stated that this shop was in Pawleys Island. That is 45 minutes below Myrtle Beach. My father-in-law, my wife's dad, Dwayne, is like, you have to go get one of these donuts. And I'm like, dude, that's stupid. I'm not driving 45 minutes for a donut.
You would.
That's dumb. And my wife, of course, you know, she's the boss in the family. She's just like, hey, we're going.
We're going.
And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. So we get in the vehicle, we drive down, and little did I know, less than 2 years later, here we are. The product is incredible. It's fresh, all the way from our breakfast sandwiches, all the way to our coffee, our donuts, of course. You know, you walk into the shop and you're hit with that patriotism, that Americanism, that, you know, just being an authentic human. And we're rolling out of COVID now, right? So, you know, for multiple years, we operated in an environment in this country that was like almost sacred to connect with people at a personal level, right?
You are that's a good word too,
Yeah.
because it did become sacred.
It did.
Yes, it
to
did.
connect with each other. You're exactly right.
And you know, my nursing background, you know, to be a registered nurse, you kind of have to be somewhat of a people person, right? So that really kind of hurt me. And at that point in time, I was more into healthcare operations. So I got to see a different perspective, and I found myself really disconnecting from the healthcare world, right? And so whenever we experienced this, experienced this brand, this environment, I mean, you know, I went crazy with it. I have a touch of ADHD, and I mean, I just bounced off the walls. And I told my wife a couple weeks later, I'm like, hey, I want to open up a parlor donut. And she's just like, can't you just enjoy something and not have to like go crazy with it? I'm like,
Oh, I really want to meet your wife.
oh, she's a peach. I love her. She keeps me on my toes as much as I keep me on my toes.
I really like that they have been very intentional about branding themselves a certain way.
Yes. Yes.
If you go into one, you know what to expect at the other one.
And of course, when you go into these shops, like when you go into Altoona's store, our store, you are going to feel, as you can see on my logo here, that is the Pennsylvania Railroad conductor's symbol, right? the community that we live in was built on the railroad. So what better way to bring that authentic pieced out tuna with the railroad? So, you know, we'll have an old vintage railroad display, an old 1939 Zenith radio, you know, just getting some of that local feel into our shops. And Parlor as a brand, they want that. They're not a Dunkin' Donuts. This is not a Starbucks. This is not corporate America we're talking about, right? I left corporate America. I'm not going back to corporate America. They are very personable, they are very personal, and they're very intentional. And I mean, it resonated with me, and here we are talking about it.
That's awesome.
You know, I went opening day. My husband and I went in the morning, and the line was out the door. I mean, long, and we're like, okay, we'll come back a little bit later. So I probably tried 4 times because I was like, I'm definitely going the first day because donuts are my love language. And I finally got in, and even with the busyness of it, you guys were so just welcoming.
That's what I heard.
It really was.
I have not been
so
yet,
welcoming.
but that's what I heard.
Yeah, and you guys had everything in stock still, which that really surprised me too, because I was like, well, they're probably going to be sold out of everything. No, you guys had every donut there, and I was just really, really pleased with the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you know, that we're not looking to be a donut shop, right? Like we're looking to be a staple in the environment. If you guys watch our socials, like we did actually take a little bit of heat for shutting down one day, just a lot of maintenance, which, you know.
Yeah, that's going to happen with
so
people.
speaking of the heat here, okay, so this gal was not going to wait Saturday in line because I figured, well, I work here and I usually am out and about. I'll just stop during the week. So I go down on Monday, closed early. I'm like, what? So then I went down another day, closed early. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So then the third day, I didn't go down at all. My son-in-law shows up at my house that night. He said, yeah, the owner down there gave me a free dozen donuts. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I was down there for 2 days, 0 donuts.
But I loved what you put on social media, that you had been so busy.
Yeah, they
that
were.
you gave your employees
I appreciate
a break.
it. Yeah.
That means something to me.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny.
means-
I'm like I was down here 2 days, like 0 donuts. Christian comes home with a free dozen donuts, but I did get to try them, all of them. They were wonderful.
I'm grateful for that.
What can your customers expect? I am not a donut person, unlike Kelly.
Oh, man.
I love donuts.
You know, you've intrigued me because you're not a donut person.
Absolutely, I'm not. Nope.
What makes Parlor Donuts different?
Oh my, it's just, and I've had that question asked to me so many times, and I don't have a great answer for you. You have to experience it for yourself. We have a lot of great local businesses. Mansion Donuts is one of them. They have a great product, right? Green Bean, their coffee is amazing, and they are doing things in a certain way that is so healthy for this community. We want to be a part of that, and this is just another very unique experience. You just have to describe it for yourself.
For me, I would say, you know, if you want a cake donut, that's going to be the Mansion Donut.
Okay.
If you want like a croissant, flaky kind of donut, then you're going to go to Parlor.
Oh, you're layered.
Her and I
Absolutely.
like cronuts.
I love cronut.
And that's-
Cronut
yeah.
is my
A
weakness.
really good example, our bacon, egg, and cheese comes on the donut. So it's not sugary.
Oh my.
It's not sweet. It's not greasy. It is a beautiful, if you call it so, it can be the perfect sandwich bun. So if that gives you an example. Now, obviously, we top it up. You know, that's what everybody's talking about, all the beautiful sugars and stuff.
Yes, the coconut cream one is my favorite.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. That's,
Wait till you taste the mallow cup.
yes, that one sounds very.
It's pretty
I'm
good.
gonna have to.
It's pretty
Are they
down.
baked?
So no, our regulars are fried, our vegan, gluten, and keto are baked.
Okay.
And I love that you have those options for people.
Yes, that's right. What does the mallow? You have obviously partnered with Boyer, of
course,
to do a mallow cup.
Is it cream filled? Like
It is. So it
okay.
is the marshmallow.
How late are you open
filled.
today?
I was wondering
right?
that
I live literally 5 minutes from you guys.
So, you know, obviously we opened up with full intentions on going straight 6:30 to 5:30, weekend 7 to 4. I mean, we've just been extremely overwhelmed.
I might have to stop there.
And you know, that day that we kind of took off, we didn't take the day off, but we did need to give my staff the opportunity to maintenance a few things, breathe. You could tell that they were becoming very overwhelmed. So we are actively, slowly getting back to those normal hours. We're opening our doors a little earlier. We're closing them a little later. So right now we're right around like 6:45 to 3:30. But our goal is to get to that 6:30 to 5:30, and then 7 to 4 on the weekends.
Okay.
Oh man, they closed.
And where are you located for people who don't know?
We are located at 3621 Burgoon Road, right off of Logan Boulevard, right beside Altoona First.
Awesome.
Literally like 3 minutes from my house, so it could be a problem.
They could walk.
It could be a problem.
It
That
could
would
be a
burn
problem.
up some of it.
Yeah, they're so good. But one quick thing before we end, I have to give a shout out to my Aunt Sherry because she loves your donuts. She first tried them in Florida, I guess. And when she saw you guys were coming here, that's all she could talk about. She is obsessed with these donuts and she loves your raspberry filled. So she's like, gotta go get it. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her. But thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us
for
today,
coming.
telling
Absolutely,
us about
guys.
your business. I love it. I know people will love it. And I'm just so excited for the next donut to come.
Absolutely.
And
so,
I forgive you for not being.
I appreciate that.
and when we come back, we will have our tip for the day.
Impact Productions, a multi-layer technology company providing on-site, online, and in-studio video services. Contact Impact Productions to capture your story.
Next time, we will discuss giving, and then we will have Linda Vargo join us to share a moving testimony.
After I got off the phone with Kelly, I did feel a little better, but I stood there at that door and I said, all right, God, I'm gonna make you a deal. Yeah, that's what I did. I made God a deal.
Yeah.
I said, let my son walk and I will go to church for 4 weeks. That's at the point, that's where I was in my life. That's how low I was.
All that and more on Let's Talk About It.
Just recently, I received a beautiful note in the mail from a friend from church. And then about a week later, another friend purchased a pair of shoes as a gift for me. And it wasn't even my birthday or Christmas. They just wanted to be a blessing. So my tip for today is, how can we be a blessing to a friend, a family member, a neighbor, or a coworker? You see, first, I believe we have to be intentional with it. And what I mean by this is actually think about doing something for someone and then put it into place. Second, decide what that would look like. Maybe it's a text just to encourage them for the day. Maybe it's a gift card to their favorite restaurant. Or maybe it's to offer to babysit or cook a meal. Maybe it's a letter in the mail. Maybe it's a small gift of some sort. There are so many ways to bless others, and some don't even cost a thing, maybe just time. We never know what a gift or a note might mean to someone. It may be just what they need, just for that day. So let's be men and women who are intentional about blessing those around us a lot more than just on birthdays and Christmas. I know what it did for my heart, and I hope that I can pass it along to someone else. And until next time, let's talk about it.